Okay, well, welcome back to Carpo's channel, and this discussion is going to pertain to the plant kratom from Asia, Southeast Asia. Before I make this video, I need to make it absolutely clear that I am not recommending kratom for anyone. I am not suggesting it or that it cures or helps with anything. I'm just a guy talking about the facts of what's going on. And I say that as being an avid kratom advocate who in the past has discussed this, and over the past at least 6 years, YouTube has tried to not demonetize. I don't care. If companies don't want to work with people on YouTube who talk about kratom, I have no problem with that. That's their prerogative. But YouTube willingly banned, censored, and also gave me strikes against my channel for talking about kratom in any type of light. And I want to make it very clear that I'm not recommending this. This is a plant that I think should be sold to adults only. And let's get on with it. What is going on with kratom? I made a video on my other channel talking about this, but I think it's so crucial and imperative right now to discuss this that I put it here. The FDA, as we all know, back in 2016, made an attempt to ban kratom by putting it in Schedule 1. Now, the federal government has several schedules and lists of how they classify drugs. There's Schedule 1 through 5, as far as I know. There may be more. The point being that certain drugs are in Class 2, ones that are considered useful. But Schedule 1 are things like heroin and, of course, marijuana. But they wanted to put kratom in there with it. And we fought like crazy to keep it legal. Back in 2016, the AKA really took up steam. Between them and others, I'm not going to give them full credit. I mean, at the time, we were all pushing really hard in many different ways. Individuals were sharing on YouTube, and then that whole network just got cut off. We weren't allowed to talk about it, review it, discuss it. And what this did was gave the FDA time to rebuild their case. It's been 5 years now. Now the whole kratom community is gone from YouTube except for a few stragglers. And if you Google kratom on YouTube, you will, and when I say Google on YouTube, it's because Google owns YouTube. You're basically getting the search results they want, depending on where you search from and what device you search from. I only found, I think, like 20 videos the other day that popped up in this initial, feed. Then they were all the ones like, hey, no offense to Adam from Psyched Substance, but he had one that was not the best type of kratom video. I don't think it really did justice. But also several other ones about how it harmed them or how they're overcoming addiction. Those are the ones that YouTube is choosing to show, not the ones with the millions of people, what I understand to be 15 million people, who claim that they have benefited from using it. But let's back up for a minute. In 2016, we sent in thousands, tens of thousands, if I'm not mistaken, over, probably hundreds of thousands of comments, questions, and just flooded different governors, senators, Congress people, and the FDA, DEA, and all the rest of them with these, I guess, stories people had about their own experiences. I was one of them, and mine's still up. It's one of the few videos that YouTube never deleted. And that experience, that kratom had benefited me so vastly during the time when I had extreme physical pain, that wasn't the reason I even started using it. I found it useful for my motivation. I'm not going to classify myself as ADD or, OCD or any of these things. I'm just a human being who finds that taking this particular plant in certain amounts helps to give me better focus without any major adverse side effects that I know of. And I started that in 2009, and people kept telling me, it's going to get bad, it's going to get bad. And I, to this day, 12 years later, my 12th year of using kratom, I still have no issues. I have no side effects. because I don't overdo it. Just like anything else, adults should have the right to consume it. So, the FDA seemed to back off, and the DEA, because they had no choice because of public pressure in 2016. Fast forward 5 years, here we are. They are now claiming they're going to go to the World Health Organization, and the scary thing about this is nobody's talking about it. Sure, the AKA, or American Kratom Association, is discussing it. A lot of Kratom vendors and a lot of Kratom advocates are talking about this online, but nobody's listening. I've looked at the reviews, I've looked at the views of, the videos that are shared, the amount of people who have signed these things. Most people are not aware this is happening. They are trying to go around the public opinion and circumvent the wishes of the American population, the people who actually benefit from it, and go straight to the World Health Organization and get it banned on a nationwide level, which means 37 different advanced countries at all, 37 countries would agree to make it illegal to buy Kratom. So, the most beautiful article that I read the other day, and please, if I haven't posted the link, please remind me to, because I know I have it. When I looked this up and found more info, I found out that the American Kratom Association, because the FDA had only given a 3-week comment period from the public, but here's the clincher. They don't even have to send the public comments to the World Health Organization. It's not even a deal. They're just like, oh yeah, go ahead and comment. But they only gave 3-week window till like August 15th, I think. The AKA, I believe, sued in court and got them to extend it to August 24th. But that's another week. There is still a week for you and I to comment, and there are several different sites that are facilitating this, where you can fill out your info. Just be aware of where you're putting your comment and make sure it goes to the right place. But does it matter? No, it doesn't, because they don't even have to turn in the comments to the World Health Organization. If anything, find a way to get it straight to them, but they should know better. 37 countries, and all during a time, and this was the thing I was going to say, there is a scientific journals, but like Scientific American did an article, and in that article, this is what I found. They said, Kratom should not be banned by the FDA. This is a recent article, and this is the link I'm talking about posting. A legitimate scientific magazine saying, no, they should not do this. They said if no one had ever used Kratom before in this country, and we did not have an opioid crisis going on, then maybe we could all agree to at least regulate it. But during a time when overdoses have doubled during the pandemic, they could be 40 to 50,000 in a year, up to 65,000. They were 90,000 to 95,000 overdoses last year. A lot of these from legal pharmaceuticals. And guess what? Have you heard about Purdue Pharma? How much is the media really talking about that? The lawsuits that are going on with Purdue right now, and the pathetic attempt for them to just say, well, we'll give up some of our money from our company, but we all know that they split up all their cash into the family assets, and they sold OxyContin during the 80s knowing exactly what they were doing. So billions of dollars in lawsuits going on all around the country regarding opioid prescriptions. So because of this, a backlash has been that the elderly, the suffering, cancer patients, those who really need opioids cannot get them because the doctors make them feel like they're drug addicts. So they have no way to get what they need. It's a horrible thing. But there's a positive side to this. Because I've found when I had extreme pain, when I had sciatic pain that made me just feel like dying at times, Kratom helped me better than hydromorphone, which is Dilaudid. It helped me better than oxycodone, better than anything I could find at the time, better than morphine sulfate. 30 milligrams of morphine sulfate couldn't touch my back pain, but a tablespoon of Kratom kicked the shit out of it and made me feel good. And I didn't feel like an addict at the same time. Yes, Kratom has helped me immensely in my mental state and my physical state. And during the time when there were those 90,000 overdoses on pharmaceuticals, how many Kratom deaths do you think there were? And even Scientific American pointed this out. There's only really one death that may be attributed to Kratom because by chance he had Kratom with him or in his system when he died. Almost every single case has been attributed to someone who died with polydrug use, meaning they had Kratom and fentanyl or Kratom and alcohol or something else that could have killed them. Or just circumstantial. Their parents found a bag of Kratom by the bedside and their son committed suicide, so it must be Kratom, right? One of the guys who they claimed died from Kratom was shot in the chest. Another guy fell out a window. These stories go back years, and this is the same paranoia they tried to cause with reefer madness. But even if Kratom is dangerous to some people, even if a dozen of those deaths were all attributed to just Kratom, how does that compare to tens of thousands of opioid deaths every year? It doesn't. So the question people have is, what should I do? Should I stock up? Should I start growing it? People have asked this to me before. If you live in a southern state, you can grow Kratom. You could order some and try to grow it. There's no law against growing it, as far as I know, unless you live in a state where Kratom itself is illegal, which if is anyone listening out there who lives in a state where Kratom's illegal and you have any say in that, maybe you have any governmental power, and you're actually allowing Kratom to continue to be banned, you're an idiot. You're costing your people more money and time. Prisons are not full of Kratom users, okay? The reality is we live in a world where people in our country have major addiction issues, and Kratom seems to help some of them. Anything we can do to help people is the way to go. I live in Washington, right over the bridge from Oregon in Vancouver, Washington. Thank God I live here. Washington is decent. We have some issues here, of course. Cost of living is very high. Right south in Oregon, the governor, Kate Brown, just announced she's going to veto a bill going through the Oregon legal system that basically says they want good practices, basically making it legal for people over 21 to buy Kratom as long as these certain practices are followed. It's the good manufacturing practices we've been trying to get going for years. She's denying it as if by stopping this you're going to make it better. In your own country, where Portland is full of addicts dying on the streets, Portland is a cesspool right now. It's embarrassing. I grew up in Portland. I'll be honest, back in the 90s, there was just as much crime. But there was never this degree of homelessness to where it showed this strongly. And the crime is getting worse, and it's going to exponentially get worse. But the addiction problem is huge. And they should do everything they can to try to avoid making it worse. I don't blame the people or the addicts themselves. I know it's hard. As I've said before, we lost a niece a year and a half ago to heroin. She had just gotten out of jail. There was no supervision or the whole system's just jacked up. And anyone who's lost someone understands that people who die from heroin aren't bad people. But then we start to think, what if one simple herb like Kratom could have saved their lives? And it has for a lot of people. So who the hell are the FDA to tell us any different? I'd love to hear your opinions. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time.